Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, the host of this show, and we talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And yes, our spirits, they need refreshing every single day. All three areas do, or one of those areas are going to start going, excuse me, you forgot me. As my dear friend Paula Fellingham, the founder of Win Win Women TV, always says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. And I love having amazing guests on our show because everything that we do affects our mind, our body, and our spirit, either positively or negatively. So we have Debbie Miller. And Debbie, I'm so grateful and thankful for you to be with us here tonight. Welcome, Debbie. Oops, can I hear you? Hmm, maybe you need to unmute. Let me see if we can get this technology. Let's see. Now, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Sorry. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate this time.
Oh, well, so grateful again, Debbie. And we're going to talk about some information tonight that is very important for all of us. Our topic is going to be no place for shenanigans. Yes, you heard me correctly. And our talking tips are going to be why should you care if you do or you do not have a will? And you're going to find out that great information and why it makes a difference who or who is not your power of attorney. And then we're going to talk about being prepared so it's always the best so we don't leave a mess. And we've got some fun stories. I've got a great story about that one too. But you know what? We love to find out a little bit of background about our guest and this beautiful, amazing woman. She is the resilient, amazing mother of five sons. Boy, she fed a lot of mouths, and five daughter in laws, and has 17 grandchildren. Oh my goodness. I know that they all love her so much, and she's pouring into their lives, into the next generations. She has been married over 50 years. She's one of about five people that I've known that have been married over 50 years. And all this, you know, for about 18 years, growing her business at the same time. She's been helping to protect families and saving them thousands of dollars while leaving no place for shenanigans. So, Debbie, I'm so grateful that you're here with us. And I love asking this question during this lifetime and all the things that you have been through. What has led you to this point right now where you really are sewing into other people's lives and doing what you're doing to help protect them?
I guess because it was so important to us when our boys were little guys, we thought we should have had a will, and we didn't know what to do about it. And so we pretty much just forgot about it. I mean, we did spend a few discussions trying to figure out, excuse me, who we thought should be their guardian if we weren't around. And that caused a whole lot of discussions that never actually came up with a good answer. So since we didn't really have an answer, we just forgot about it, I guess. And that's really a bad thing. I suppose probably like a lot of people, we assumed that the state would actually do the right thing, taking care of them, thinking of their best interest, which is what it sounds like they do, but it's not what they do at all. And so, we couldn't figure out who to put on the paper if we figured out the papers. And we didn't know an attorney anyway. We were in ministry full time. And so we were having enough trouble just putting food and clothes and a roof over their head. Um, you know how little boys and clothes and shoes go. So it just never happened. So that pretty much became a mission when we found a way that we could take care of that uh, at such a reasonable, affordable price. It just became like a mission that everybody needed to know about this, especially others that are in ministry, Christians that, also may not have a lot of money in their pocket to, let's pay $300 an hour for something. So it became really important to us that way.
Absolutely, Debbie. And I'm so grateful that you did find a way and that you're now have been almost 18 years sharing that way with other people, because a lot of people don't realize, especially I'm in North Carolina, and it's very transient. We've got 13 to 1500 people moving here every year from all different places. And people don't realize that different states have different guidelines, different rules. And like even in our state, if you die without a will, you're talking about the state getting involved in helping. Children go to foster care until the court decides where they're going to live. So why would you make your family go through something that they don't have to go through, trauma, in a time where it's a real adjustment anyways? So when you're talking about, and some people will talk about, Debbie, too, they'll go, oh, I don't have anything, or we don't have any children, whatever, we don't need a will. What do you say to those people, Debbie?
Well, especially we have early 20-year-old grandchildren now. And so for them, especially them, I guess, this comes up, well, I don't have anything. Well, hello, they have a car, most all of them. They have probably a gaming system that cost more than my first car did. So right there's two things that somebody will get when if they should not survive whatever. And so why should they not be the one who decides who's going to play with your Game Boy or, sorry, whatever the toys are these years? But, so in fact, the people that some of us who have less monies in the bank, less things, those are the ones who actually need a will more than maybe other people, because, well, the other people assume that they can afford it and they take care of it. But even those who don't have a lot of money and things still need to be the one who decides who's going to get grandma's rocking chair or the doilies or whatever. That should be my responsibility, certainly not the state's,
Mhm. I
whichever
agree with
state.
you. And Debbie, it costs a lot to die, and we're all going to die. And so, but why would you put on more of a burden financially and also emotionally? Because if you think about, when we die, do we want to leave things, for other people to make that decision? Um, and I think communication and talking about it is huge, especially with families. I mean, we had a conversation with our children, and we showed them, everything where the fireproof safe was, where all the documents were, and how to do this and what to do, when we die, because it's not if, it's when. And so,
Right.
and that's why I said I named this No More Shenanigans, because there was some shenanigans that went on. Even though my mother did have a will, I had one of my brothers that tried to alter that and change some things without anybody else knowing about it too. And so you do come across a lot of different scenarios, um, when it comes to having that will put into place. Just like even, a ring that's been passed down from generation to generation. Those are those decisions I want to decide while I'm still here and have that communication and that conversation. So, what has been some of the most challenging things other than people say, well, I can't afford it or whatever? And you're sitting there going, but if I show you a way that's very cost effective and that it can be changed at least once a year free and have some other adjustments made. So, what has been the biggest objection that you've come across in 18 years?
Well, just that, the wills cost a lot of money otherwise, and some people will say, well, you can do it yourself, go online, find this something, fill it in a couple of, and, well, those are obviously available. You talked about shenanigans. Wow. I'm thinking that would certainly be a way for other family members or some of those family members to try to alter things because who knows how legal or official it is. That really is the beauty of Legal Shield, that for seriously $1 a day, you can write your will at no extra cost. It's just your membership and a thank you for being our member. And we even give you a document, fill it out, send it to the attorney. They look it over. If they have questions, they call you, fill in whatever extra information you need, and then get your documents to you actually in a few weeks at the most, I think it is. So,
Well, I get mine back in less than a week when I've made my changes. Yeah. So,
yeah, so they're quite efficient, and you really can't get it any cheaper than $1 a day, and no extra cost for the document. So
yeah. And I call it being cost effective, being a good steward of, but it is something that when you look and compare the cost of what things have to go through, because it's either pay me now or pay me later. And so
right.
people don't even have a clue what it costs to die and go through the whole process too, especially if you're in different states and you've got to go to the court there to get permission to be there, even if you're the executor, there is a lot that is involved. And so another area that I really wanted to talk with you too. So we do know the importance is of the will is to making sure that you are in charge of making the decisions. And then when life happens, just like in my life recently, some things do happen, and I had to change my power of attorney because my husband has dementia and he is not able to be my power of attorney anymore. So I had to make that adjustment and that change, and it did not cost me any more. So that's another
Wow, that's
great
awesome.
savings. It is.
Thanks.
So tell me a little bit more too about, why it does make a difference who is or is not your healthcare power of attorney or even your power of attorney, because life happens. You have no idea when somebody's going to be in an accident. They cannot make decisions for themselves anymore, even when it comes to life support and all kinds of different things. So, what have you seen and what do you recommend and suggest, Debbie, when it comes to power of attorneys and people's who's going to be
Well,
making those decisions?
yeah, I guess kind of like you, one of our friends, when we told her that, you could write your will with us, she's like, oh, well, we've already got it all taken care of. Well, it turned out that her will was over 25 years old, which makes it questionable, and of course, her family wasn't, there probably wouldn't have been any issues with her family. However, as they were reviewing it, they decided that the person that they had chosen to be the power of attorney, who was the oldest child, they decided he was probably not the best choice. And I don't remember why, I don't think he lived close, so that might have been the reason. But I do know that, so when they did redo their will, it was a different person who was probably very organized and maybe more so, and maybe closer than the original person. And so, that was an important thing and a good benefit for them to be able to review it. They've had they'd obviously had a few years of thinking about it, and so it was definitely an improvement. Even like for my mother-in-law, when dad died, she had to obviously had to have a new power of attorney for her will. And she was charged $3,000 to get his name off of her will. So that has kind of put a special emphasis for me on older people, or people, just so that you can have that option if you need it. There's certainly $3,000. She could have had Legal Shield for about 10 years.
Mhm.
So she could have changed it a lot of times if she had needed for whatever reason. So being able to do that and have that power in your hands, is really peace of mind that otherwise, you're not going to have. I mean, it's, when you make a decision and you're paying thousands of dollars for that document, and then you're stuck with it because, okay, if I want to change something, I'm going to get charged another thousands of dollars just to do that. That is not peace of mind at all. So,
And that's not being cost effective either. And
right.
even one of the attorneys suggested to me, they said, it would be good for your power of attorney to be the same as your executor, because they already know everything that's going on. I mean, they're there to help and to navigate the things that we have decided to put into place. And that's why I think communication is huge. But making sure that, just like you said, as we mature, as we get, older, there could be some changes and some things that we might have do differently today than we did 25 years ago. So, I think it's really important for people because do you notice that people sort of shy away from talking about this, Debbie? Like it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we get our minds around that, but yeah, we sort of push it away and think it will happen to somebody else, I guess. Is this
But,
not likely, but
yeah.
anyway.
So even with you and your sons, communication is huge. So does everybody know what's going to happen when you and your husband move to heaven?
Um, yeah, we do. And you probably have talked to Kathy Weaver, and she has a really awesome, her latest book is a great document where, I mean, you have all your information, it sounds like. This is a great document that we've been giving to people when they've gotten their wills done, where they can write down literally everything, like where do I bank? How do you get into my online banking account or in-person banking account? The book even has like here in Kansas City area, a lot of areas have like a community mailbox.
Hmm.
So it's down the street, off and around a corner someplace sometimes, so uh, it has a key for your box. And so in this document, it's like, okay, where's my mailbox? It's there. Here's the key. This is how you get into it, whatever. Just, I mean, all the things that, especially at that time, you are so
Consumed
foggy
with everything.
brained
Hmm.
that
Yep.
you need
Yep.
it right there laid out step by step so you know exactly what to do for each thing. And of course it's got, where's all the other important documents, but it's something that you can put everything together in one spot and then tell your person or persons, this is where it is. When the time comes, this is where you need to go. And you can keep it updated, change it as you need it as well. But
It
that's
makes it
me.
easy. And that was our last kind of topic we were going to touch on a little bit. It doesn't have to be the last one, but but being prepared so we don't leave a mess. And even you're sharing, some people take for granted people can't get into people's computers sometimes, and they've got bill pay, they've got all these different things, or they can't get to their phones where they've got all this information, or they have a safe that is a digital safe or not, and they don't people can't get into the safe. And so that's why, being prepared and doing those things that we just take for granted. If all of a sudden I was gone today, would somebody be able to come in to do my husband's medications, where they know where all the insurance policies are, where everything is, where our gravesite is, wherever, I wanted to make sure that I've got everything taken care of, even with the funeral home, because that cost goes up, 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 up. And
Right.
I thought I definitely don't want to have a GoFundMe because I want to not leave a mess for my family either. So when you think about, transitioning, I mean, when we're gone to heaven, we're going to be yeehaw, hallelujah, and we're not going to have to be concerned. But I think it's one of the most decent things to do for other people, Debbie, is not leave a mess.
Right, no messes. Well, even things like your social media. I mean, you and I have a lot of social media that somebody's going to have to either, well, they're going to have to deal with it. So that's part of the mess, as well with the other original things that we all think about, the mailbox dealing, the bank, the bills, but even things like your social media, do you leave it up? Do you shut it down? How do you shut it down? And so, yeah, it has to be, all of those things have to be written down someplace where somebody can actually have access to it. Even simple things like, how do I open up my computer or my cell phone? Um, those can be a great mess, especially when you're already stressed out about just the whole life situation, and dealing with it. Whether it's an actual death or even you're just in the hospital trying to figure out what's the next step or how do we deal with what we're at right now. Um, so yeah, avoiding all those messes with your will and other things all written down is just a great benefit for your family. So
It is, and going right back to that communication too, I think is really important because I have to tell you something. My daughter has become my power of attorney, and she's my healthcare power of attorney. So we were going over the documents, after we had them updated, and she goes, "Now I just want to be clear about this. Do not resuscitate and all these things." She goes, "Does that mean if you potentially have no chance of waking up again, it's okay not to be on life support? But if you have a chance that you," she goes, "I just need clarity." And I told her, I said, "You know what? I want you to just pray about it and use your own common sense." I said, "I don't want to be, on life support for months and months and months and all this stuff." I said, "But if there's a chance that I'm going to wake up in the next week or two, yes, I would like to have, a little bit
yes,
nourishment or help or whatever." So
good
again,
talk there. Yeah.
yeah, and keeping that again, communication open and just lighthearted. It's again, we get to make the decisions, but it's good to be able to have that communication in that conversation with others so that they will know. And when everybody knows and is on the same page too, Debbie, then again, there will not be the shenanigans because when the time comes, they're going to say, "This is what she wanted. This is the way we're going to do it and keep it in order." And that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a great way, and having all of the family informed, not, I mean, obviously your daughter, your power of attorney needs to know all the details, but the rest of the family, it's not a bad thing to have them kind of in on the discussions too, knowing that this is what mom says. It's not
Mhm.
really up for discussion. This is the way it is. And so when your sister, or my case brother, says this is what we're doing, this is how mom wants it laid out, there's not going to be a discussion or a debate with her or them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. So, how often, Debbie, do you think that people should review their documents or update them? Because you'd mentioned, somebody had something for 25 years or whatever. So, realistically, what is your suggestion that people should just, refresh, pull out information, and look at how often should they do that?
um well, I think with Legal Shield you can at least review your wills annually,
Mm,
so there's that. But of course, things like having a new child would be a great time to like, okay, we should probably add the new child to the will. um Sometimes even just your moving, and as you mentioned, every state has different laws. So if you moved from Kansas City to the Carolina, North Carolina, you definitely need to review it. And if you have Legal Shield while you're here, you need to call. I mean, even if I move to North Carolina, I have to call my attorney that's on my list here, and they would transfer me to the attorney there to discuss the issue, so that we keep everything smooth and correct. But that's also another great time. Anytime that you have some questions, you can always call your attorneys when it's no extra cost, and ask for advice. Is this something I need to update, or are we still good?
yep, I
So,
love it. Another area too in that people again don't like to talk about, but it's a reality is divorce. And when we look at the divorce rate, it's like 50%, and it's like 70% with remarried people too. And sometimes people don't change their documents, and their current spouse is left out.
Right. Yes, we have a really good friend that definitely happened. He had been in the army, so all of his life insurance and everything went to the ex-spouse. The spouse that he is married to at the time of that he died got all the bills, except he was living in the house. They were living in the house that actually still had the ex's name on it. So the current wife had to like get out within days, weeks of his death because he had not changed things. So yes, divorce totally needs to do it. And also, I guess I should just mention, um, in your will, if your life insurance says Joe is your beneficiary, but your will says Sue is your beneficiary, Joe's still going to get everything from that life insurance. Doesn't matter what the will says. So need to make sure that everything is the same. Um, However, I mean, or if you wanted the life insurance to go to Joe, that's one thing, but just be aware that the life insurance or the other things go to whoever is on that document as well and needs to be at least considered.
Yeah.
So there's
So,
no more
yeah.
shenanigans.
So if I hear you correctly, then the life insurance policy overrides the will beneficiary.
Yeah, they're
Beneficiary.
separate things. So whatever the life insurance dependents are, that stays that way. The will is completely separate from all those other documents that you have. So
Oh my goodness. So Debbie, I knew our time was going to fly when we were getting ready to talk. So thinking over that was such a great tip that you just gave too. Are there any other tips that come to your heart or your mind that you would love to share for people just to be mindful of?
I just to be mindful that this is an important document to have taken care of, and the sooner the better. And certainly with Legal Shield, you can do it at an affordable rate. Almost everybody can afford $1 a day, and that's the price for the membership. And so it's a great way to have it and to keep it, just get it in the back of your mind. This is something to keep for life, because as we all know, life changes in a split second. And so keeping it around is a great way to protect your family even into the future.
Absolutely. And so Debbie, what is the easiest way for people to get in touch with you?
I can give you my phone number and that they can call me, or obviously they can check out my Facebook page or my LinkedIn page as well, Debbie Miller. But my phone number is 816-529-6254. And I'll give it to you again one more time, 816-529-6254.
Oh, Debbie,
Thanks.
I am so grateful for your willingness just to come and just share just a little bit about really the priorities and the things that we really need to be aware of and being a good steward of. It's just like our physical and our financial health. We need to nourish them and we need to protect them and we need to do our very best, and God will do the rest. But in the meantime, I think people need to really stop, get in touch with you, get questions answered, and find out if they're doing, again, their very best. And I encourage everyone, come back next Wednesday to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. And I promise that we will learn something new together. And check out my website, thehealthysaleschick.com. And I love talking about your healthy lifestyle and celebrating the good things that you are doing, taking care of your temporary temple until you get your permanent maintenance free one. But I love giving you any kind of suggestions that can help enhance your healthy lifestyle. And also check out some of the other Win Win Women TV shows. We've got amazing other show hosts. And it's again a time for you to come, become educated, inspired, and just be a part of a community of places where we care about each other. Thank you again, Debbie, so much for your willingness just to come and share just a smidgen of your expertise.
Thank you. Happy Easter.
Thank you.